Hello, everyone, and welcome to Love and Tears, the channel where we share true love stories filled with longing, heartbreak, and passion. If this is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next story. Now let's begin today's tale. They say change doesn't always arrive with a crash of thunder. Sometimes it slips in like a whisper. It was a quiet Thursday afternoon, the kind wrapped in golden light and scented faintly of lemon polish and warm bread. Outside, the Arizona sun stretched over the glossy tiles of our Scottsdale home. For a fleeting moment, everything felt still, as though the house itself was holding its breath. My husband Mark was away at a medical conference in Phoenix. Our housekeeper Rosa had left early for a family birthday. I had just hung up the phone with the property manager about plumbing repairs at our rental in Flagstaff when I saw the laundry basket by the stairs. It was Noah's. Again. 23 years old and still leaving laundry behind like clockwork. And yet, strangely, I didn't mind. In some quiet way, it made me feel needed. Still useful in a house that had grown too quiet. I carried the basket down the hall. The scent of cedarwood, mixed with something fresh, almost citrus, drifted up as I folded his clothes. Probably his shampoo. My hands moved out of habit, one shirt after another, until they paused on a pair of navy sweatpants. Something inside the pocket. Solid. Unfamiliar. My pulse jumped. I brushed it with my thumb without thinking, and that single moment became the first pebble in a landslide I never saw coming. The breath caught in my throat. A flush crept up my neck before I even understood why. I dropped the sweatpants as if they burned and stepped back. But the moment had already wedged itself into my mind, sharp and unshakable. I told myself it meant nothing, but a quiet part of me knew something had shifted. From the outside, my life looked like something out of a lifestyle magazine, an Adobe-style dream home, a successful husband, a marriage polished and curated. Mark Hayes, my husband of nearly 20 years, was a celebrated cardiologist, magnetic, and polished, the kind of man who remembered names at fundraisers and smiled as though he meant it. People thought we were perfect. They didn't see the emptiness. Mark and I had grown into strangers. We still shared a bed, but lived miles apart. His touch had become mechanical, an obligatory kiss on the cheek, a guiding hand at the small of my back in public. That was all. We were a portrait, elegant, untouched, and cold. Once I joked that I had become like one of my designer dresses, beautiful, carefully kept, but never worn. Mark laughed. He didn't know I wasn't joking. And then there was Noah. He wasn't our son, not by blood. When he was 16, his parents, Mark's closest friends, died in a car accident. We didn't hesitate. We took him in. At first, he was shattered silent, but over the years, he became steady, thoughtful, strong in a way that didn't demand attention. At 23, he was finishing his last year at ASU, still living with us, while saving for graduate school. I told myself I loved him like a guardian. Over and over, I told myself that. I packed his lunches, reminded him about his allergy meds, kissed his forehead before class. It wasn't obligation. It was deeper. But things changed. Slowly, then suddenly. His voice deepened. His shoulders broadened. The boy who once mumbled now held eye contact with quiet intensity. He had become a man, and I didn't see it until it was too late. I told myself it was loneliness, a fleeting fantasy born of invisibility. But it didn't fade. It bloomed like a desert flower, quiet, stubborn, impossible to ignore. I began to notice the way Noah laughed, the way his gaze lingered, the way he made me feel seen, not just looked at, but truly seen. For the first time in years, I felt awake. I should have pushed it away. I didn't. I stayed. I let it grow. And then one night, everything shifted again. The house was unusually still. Desert evenings wrapped the world in velvet hush. I poured a glass of red wine and stepped onto the balcony, letting the night breeze toy with the hem of my silk robe. The moon threw silver shadows across the tiles, and from the corner of my eye, I saw him, Noah. He was in the pool, head tilted back, dark hair, slicked eyes closed. His chest rose and fell with slow breaths, the water glimmering around him. Peaceful, yet the sight stirred something restless in me. I should have walked away. I didn't. "Can't sleep," I called softly. His eyes opened, surprised but not startled. "You too, huh?" His voice was low, roughened by the night. I hesitated, then stepped barefoot down the stairs, the stone cool beneath me. I stopped a few feet from the pool, clutching my glass too tightly. I didn't mean to interrupt. "You're not," he said, eyes locking on mine. "You never are." The way he said it made the air heavier. He swam closer, resting his arms on the edge. Water clung to his skin. "You look different tonight," he murmured. "Different how, I don't know. Softer. Or maybe I'm finally seeing you clearly." My pulse fluttered. "Noah," I whispered, warning in my tone. "Don't he cut in gentle but firm? I'm not a kid anymore. I know what I feel. And I've seen the way you look at me when you think I'm not watching." He rose from the water droplets, sliding down his body like liquid glass. My eyes betrayed me, darting before I forced them back. He wrapped a towel around his waist, stepping closer. I retreated. "I shouldn't be here," I whispered. "But you are," he said, standing only inches away. "And I think you're tired of pretending." His hand brushed a strand of hair from my face, tender enough to unravel me. "I've waited," he said softly. "Waited for you to see me the way I see you." "This isn't right," I stammered. "I've known you since you were a teenager." "I'm a man now," he said steadily. "And you're the only one who's ever truly known me. You saved me, not just then, every day." The way he looked at me, longing, reverence, need, split me open. I still hesitated. But when his palm cupped my cheek and his thumb brushed my lower lip, I leaned in. Just a breath. Not a kiss. Not yet. But the space between us sizzled. "I don't know how to stop this," I whispered. "Don't." He breathed. "Not tonight." The wind stirred. The world felt small. Just him. Just me. Just the fire we had been pretending not to feel. Then I turned away, not rejecting, but afraid. "I need to think," I whispered. He nodded, lips parted, as if to say more, but he didn't. I walked back inside, heart pounding, every nerve alight, with something dangerous and beautiful. That night, I didn't sleep. By morning, golden sunlight spilled through sheer curtains. I hadn't closed my eyes. I lay there thinking about him, about his voice cracked with honesty, about the heat of his skin so close. Coffee didn't help, nor did pacing barefoot in the kitchen. Over and over I told myself, this is a line we can't cross. This is a line we've already crossed. I nearly convinced myself it was just a moment until I turned and saw him, standing in the doorway. Noah, his hair damp, a plain black shirt, jeans, effortless, too handsome for his own good. But it wasn't just that. It was the way he looked at me, like he felt everything I was fighting to bury. We should talk, I said softly. Then talk, he replied, stepping inside and closing the door. I gripped the counter. You know, this isn't simple. We have too much history. You were just a boy when... I'm not anymore, he said, slow and sure. And you've never been just someone who raised me. You've always been more. You just wouldn't admit it. My chest ached. You deserve someone else. Someone without all this mess. But I want you, he said simply. It broke me. I'm scared, I whispered. So am I, he replied, standing right before me. But I'd rather be scared with you than safe with anyone else. I don't know who leaned in first, maybe both. But when his lips brushed mine, the world stilled. Not rushed, not desperate, just inevitable. The kiss was soft at first, a confession, a question. Then his hand slid to the back of my neck, pulling me closer. My fingers gripped his shirt. The kiss deepened, reverent, yet hungry, like we feared it would vanish if we weren't careful. When he lifted me onto the counter, I didn't resist. I didn't think, I just let go. His hands held my waist, as though I was fragile precious. His forehead pressed to mine, our breaths ragged. Tell me to stop, he whispered. I couldn't. Not when he touched me like that. Not when every part of me had longed for him in silence for years. You're not a boy anymore, I murmured, tracing his jaw. And I'm done pretending I don't want this. His lips found mine again, slower, steadier. His hands wandered gently, learning me like a language he'd always dreamed of speaking. I had never felt so seen, so wanted. Later, we lay tangled on the couch, wrapped in a blanket and silence. My head rested on his chest, his heartbeat steady under my cheek. It wasn't loud. It wasn't messy. It was tender. Real. I don't know what happens next, I murmured. We'll figure it out, he said, kissing my forehead. Together. And in that moment, I knew this wasn't a mistake. This was a beginning. Thank you for listening to this story on Love and Tears. If this touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next story. See you soon.